Shut up. Alright, excuse me if I get a little emotional. For everyone here who knows Leah well, knows she is a genuine person with a great sense of humor. She definitely deserves a good husband. So Lorenzo, thank God you married her before she could find one. Compassionate, sympathetic, considerate, and intelligent. All adjectives that I would never use to describe Lorenzo. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve Peary, and I'm pretty sure there are more of my family members in attendance tonight than his. I've known Lorenzo for 25 years since we first met in kindergarten. Lorenzo and I weren't always friends. In kindergarten, he was that awkward kid in class with a big head and a thick unibrow. Plus, he was best friends with John, his next-door neighbor, and the smelliest kid in class. It wasn't until second grade where we became best friends due to our mutual hatred for Miss Norton. The old bitch of a teacher who, lucky for us, was hit by 2 cars at the same time and missed half the school year. Suffering from minor injuries, of course. Now, Lorenzo was an odd child. He had a nervous tic where he used to rub his wrists together in between his legs when he got excited for some reason. And he was petrified of Chester the Cheetos Man. At age 8, he buried a bag of unfinished Cheetos in the backyard, thinking that Chester would haunt him for not finishing the bag. So he decided to dig up the bag of dirty old Cheetos in the middle of the night and finish eating them. Not sure what his rationale was there, but I don't understand most of the things that go through his head. As kids, we thought he was going to be 7 feet tall and play in the NBA in 5th grade. Because in 5th grade, he was 5'11" and had more facial hair than most of the teachers. Being larger than most of the other kids made him a bit of a problem child. In middle school, he spent most of his days in detention. One of his favorite pranks was opening other class books' textbooks, filling them with condiment-covered cheeseburgers, and slamming the books shut. Then he would sit in the corner giggling at their reactions when they opened their books. It was a miracle he made it through middle school. I was also a victim to many of Lorenzo's pranks, being much smaller than he was. He once tied me to a lawn chair, shot me with a paintball gun, then proceeded to shove grass in my mouth while telling me to moo like a cow. What a friendship. Now, although Lorenzo isn't very compassionate, he always had a strong love for animals. My favorite story from Zoe is when he saved his 22-year-old cat George from a raccoon. He returned home from work one day when he witnessed the attack and, quote, bare hand body slammed the bastard into the ground. He suffered from minor raccoon wounds and a rabies scare, but luckily, George lived, spending the remainder of his years without a tail. In 2014, he met Leah. Zoe and I were at a bar one night when we went up to a couple girls to introduce ourselves. It happened to be Leah, who was instantly attracted to Zoe's good looks. Lorenzo's favorite pickup line was that he was a triplet who sucked all the nutrients from his unborn brother Terry to fight his way out of the womb before his sister. Luckily for him, it was loud in there and Leah didn't get to hear this terrible pickup line. Otherwise, we might not all be here today. Anyway, he ended up getting Leah's number that night. At this point, Zoe was afraid that she wouldn't be interested in him because he still shared a room with his sister, where he slept in a twin-sized bed, didn't own a car, and worked as a meat clerk at Stop and Shop, making $10 an hour. On their first date, Zoe told Leah that his mother lived with him, and that he had to pick her up from work in his car, completely throwing Becky under the bus. Eventually, he told her the truth, but she didn't care. A few months ago, I asked Leah what she loves most about Lorenzo. She said his unconditional love for her, the fact that he brings out the best in her when she is at her worst, and that she couldn't picture her life without him. She also said that he has a nice but hairy ass. When I asked Lorenzo the same question, he said, "Oh, she's caring." But then he told me that he can always be himself around her and that she accepts him for who he is. So, Leah, as Lorenzo's best friend, let me give you some marriage advice. Don't get mad at his Bengals meltdowns because they'll never be a good team. But make sure you continue to film his outbursts. Make sure you have plenty of Just for Men gel handy because he has more gray hair than most men in their 60s. Don't worry about buying enough toilet paper because he doesn't use any. Yes, he can only poop at his own house because he has to spread eagle in the shower afterwards. And make sure that you always have the tip when you go out to dinner because Lorenzo can't do simple math. But apparently you can't spell because you spelled my mom Lisa's name Liza, you spelled Christopher with a K, and you spelled marriage wrong on your own wedding invitations. All kidding aside, I think that you're the best thing that ever happened to him, and I couldn't ask for a better wife for my best friend. Would everyone please join me in raising a glass for the happy couple?
Yeah.